I asked my husband for an open marriage. He accepted the open marriage but eventually replaced me with another woman, our neighbor. She's younger and very successful. I believe in my heart that he may have been cheating on me with her before I presented this, but I can't prove it. I'm 47 years old, and my now ex-husband is 53. He's always been an athlete and played American football overseas after college. He's the local high school coach here at Dundee High. He was a wide receiver coach for years before becoming head coach and has won 2 state championships so far. My husband had always been attentive to me. I never needed anything. Our daughter had always been well taken care of. Even though I work, the money he earns from his business is more than enough for us. Our daughter is driving in college, and my husband pays the tuition. He stays in the gym 6 days a week and eats very healthy. My ex-husband is very strict about when and how he eats. I had it down to a science for him. You all are probably thinking, well, why ruin your marriage if he's so great? Well, I started to get attention from other men after dropping my weight. I felt young again, and I felt beautiful. My husband helped me lose 70 pounds. He was tough on me, but I did it. I will admit here on the True Story channel that I've cheated on my husband before, years ago, after our daughter was born. I gained weight after the pregnancy and felt horrible. I accused my husband of cheating because I couldn't believe such a hot guy would want me. I lost the weight then and cheated on my ex-husband with my trainer at the time. I did get pregnant, but I terminated the pregnancy. I am 100% sure that our daughter is my husband's. There's no possible way she isn't his daughter. I never was with anyone else at the time but my husband. My husband has never yelled at me or hurt me in any way. I've seen how he snatches up football players. He's even fought a parent during practice. My husband is tough, but with me and our daughter, he protects us and treats us with gentle care. I don't think any of his players have seen the side my daughter and I see. When he leaves the house, he's a completely different man. So, this perfect man, I definitely cheated on him before, and I had the nerve to ask him for an open marriage. For those who would like to know why a spouse would ask for an open marriage, I can give you one reason: insecurity. At least, that was my reason. I felt insecure about my weight, but when I lost it, I loved that other men desired me. I figured it was sooner or later that I'd fall victim to this American diet and gain weight again, and then, sure enough, my husband would leave me, especially since our daughter is gone. I felt I needed to take advantage of this opportunity because once I'm fat again, no one will want me. But I didn't want to sneak around, so I asked my husband for an open marriage. Over dinner, I sat at the table with my husband. By the way, we sat at the dinner table every evening, even when our daughter left for school. In the middle of talking, I stopped my husband and told him there was something I needed to tell him, something that had been weighing on me. He told me, "Sure, tell me anything, you know that's okay." I was really afraid. This was the first time I was terribly afraid of my husband. I didn't know how he'd react, but I knew I wasn't going to sneak around and cheat on him, and I felt this was the best option. So I asked him, "Well, honey, we've been married for a long time, and I love you, and I know you love me. I see you look at some girls when we go grocery shopping, younger women in their yoga pants." My husband laughed and said, "No way. I don't look at other women. I'd never disrespect you like that, ever, honey. I don't check out other women. Have you seen me do that?" I told him, "Yes, a number of times, and it's okay, you can tell me the truth. I saw it." My husband did admit it. He said, "Okay, yes, I see other people, but I don't desire them. I wouldn't trade you for anyone. I love you. You gave me my daughter. I love the life we live. I'm okay, honey." He got up out of his seat, walked over, and kissed me. He apologized and said it would never happen again. I then told him that it's okay if he looks. In fact, it's okay if he indulges. He almost choked on his asparagus. I laughed, but my husband wasn't laughing. He looked at me and finally said, "Indulge? But I don't want to indulge with anybody else but you. What are you talking about?" I told him how I wanted him to experience other women and that I thought it would help if we opened up our marriage. My husband burst into laughter saying, "Are you kidding me? Is this a prank? We're not opening up our marriage. Why would we do that? So you want me to open up the marriage just on my side and I meet a ton of other women? Why would you want to put yourself through that? Heck, put me through it." I said, "Well, it's not just for you, it's for me too. I'm interested in meeting new people as well." My husband got extremely quiet. He said, "Excuse me? You want to meet other men? What did I ever do to you? Am I doing something wrong? Tell me what's wrong." I tried to assure my husband that I never felt dissatisfied in this relationship, not one time, ever. He couldn't wrap his head around why I wanted to be with other men, so I told him, "Other guys are hitting on me, and I feel attractive and beautiful. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this weight off of me. You know I've struggled with this my entire life." My husband said, "So, you feel like you've missed out on a lot," and I told him, "Sort of." My husband sat back down and said, "So, what are the rules for this? We just meet other people? What about STDs and things like that? Did you consider that stuff?" I told him I did consider that stuff, and I thought we were both smart enough to know that we should use protection. The rules I was thinking were, we don't bring anyone home into our home, and we're not meeting coworkers. I told him about dating apps that I found out about, Hinge, Tinder, and things like that. We could jump on, let people know what our relationship status is, and move from there. We meet people that are just like us. He asked me if I had ever been on those sites before behind his back, and I assured him I hadn't. I handed over my phone, told him he could go through my laptop. I'd never ever been on those types of sites. Surprisingly enough, my ex-husband didn't get angry. I was afraid he'd get upset. At the end of dinner, he told me, "Okay, if that's what you want, we will do it. But you know I value monogamy, so this is different for me. I'm willing to try it though." I was ecstatic. I immediately started a dating app, created my profile, and told people that I was in an open marriage. Now, what I didn't tell my husband was that there was someone else at my job who really had the hots for me. He told me straight up, and he knew I was married. He met my husband several times before. He'd compliment me so much on my weight loss and tell me how beautiful I was. He told me that if I weren't married, he'd have his way with me at work. You know how often I fantasized about him. I just wanted him to take advantage of me at work, sneak off to a certain area, and he'd just do it. Even though I started the dating app, I started to flirt more with the guy at work. Eventually, he got the hint, and he invited me over to his place. It wasn't quite what I wanted, like in my fantasy, but that worked, and at lunchtime, we'd go to his place. We met often. This time, I was smart enough to use protection. I didn't want any pregnancy scares. By the way, I don't want to hear anyone in the comments saying I'm too old to have a child. No, I'm not. You can still have a child at my age. Look it up. It happens to millions of women all the time. Any kind of intimacy died down between my husband and me. He really didn't kiss me like he used to. I'd have to go in for the kiss to get a kiss. Before, he was more aggressive, and he'd pull me towards him, give me a big kiss, and sometimes we'd end up in the bathroom or the bedroom, anywhere in the house. It scared me because I know he has a high drive, so if he's not getting it from me, he has to be getting it from someone else. The whole thought of my husband with someone else began to really bother me. I realized I didn't really want to open my marriage for him. I just wanted it for myself. I continued to meet with a coworker, and I met 2 other guys from the dating apps and spent time with them as well. When my daughter would come home, we didn't let her in on anything. We didn't tell her that we were in an open marriage. Update. I asked my husband for an open marriage. He accepted the open marriage, but eventually replaced me with another woman, our neighbor. She's younger and very successful. I believe in my heart that he may have been cheating on me with her before I presented this, but I can't prove it. We pretended like things were fine, but I could see my husband just wasn't the same. He wasn't as happy. Months went by, and I started to realize my husband was happy again and didn't seem as down anymore. I never, in a 1,000,000 years, suspected that he would get involved with our neighbor. She lives 2 houses down from us, by herself. She doesn't have children and has never been married. She used to be a lawyer, between the ages of 26 to 34, but she ended up leaving law to become a high school teacher. She teaches English literature at the high school. She's very successful. She even owns a restaurant in town. She left law because she said it didn't serve her anymore, so she put her money into a restaurant with another person, and they're very popular and do very well. The co-owner of the restaurant was on Shark Tank and is successful as well, but she's also a school teacher and she loves doing it. She's always wanted to be a school teacher. I believe she once told us that her parents pushed her to become a lawyer because teachers don't get paid much. She's a very nice girl, but very, very beautiful. I remember her telling me and another neighbor that some students had to switch classes because their parents didn't want her teaching them, and some students were actually trying to hit on her. She's not the type to go to work wearing tight clothes. She knows she's around teenage boys, so she's mindful of that. I'll give her that. But honestly, she's a beautiful woman who looks like a model. I never even considered that my husband would do anything with her, but I guess it makes sense. They work together, and she lives nearby. When I found out, I couldn't get upset with him because one of my rules was do not deal with a coworker. But what did I do? I dealt with a coworker and slept with him multiple times. Even though I requested this open marriage, I wanted to find out who my husband was dealing with. So I started to follow him. He told me he needed to be at work earlier than usual. My husband is also a social studies teacher, so he would leave early in the morning to go to school and teach, but he started leaving a lot earlier, claiming that he needed to be at school to work on some things. Of course, I didn't buy it. My husband was just afraid to tell me who he was dealing with because he knew he was breaking the rules about not dealing with the coworker. So I didn't have to follow him very far. The way I tracked him was by putting a GPS in his trunk. I ordered it from Amazon. I was pretty pissed off because I had to sign up for a subscription for it, which wasn't in the details when I bought it, but it was worth it. I got the device set up, put it in the trunk of his car, and he left early. I noticed that he drove off, circled around the block, and ended up back on our street, only to park in the young woman's driveway. When I saw it on the map, I knew exactly what house he was at. I went outside, and sure enough, my husband's car was parked right in the driveway. I guess he figured he'd leave before I left for work, and seeing the time that he left, I think that was his plan. She'll never catch me because she doesn't leave until a certain time for work. My husband was sleeping with this beautiful teacher who is our neighbor. It broke my heart because I felt stupid. I pushed my husband into the arms of another woman, a younger and better woman at that. I decided to confront my husband, but I was going to wait until he came home that day. When he got home, I had prepared dinner the way he likes it. As soon as we sat down for dinner, after he washed his hands and cleaned himself up, I immediately started grilling him. "So, who have you been seeing? And don't lie to me." He looked at me and said, "What?" I told him he heard exactly what I was asking. "I want to know who you've been sleeping with." I could tell he was contemplating lying or not, but he came out and said it. My husband told me that he was sleeping with Jessica, the woman a couple of houses down. I told him, "I know. I know you've been sleeping with her. Were you sleeping with her before I asked you for this open marriage?" My husband promised me, "No. I barely even talked to her. It just happened." I guess it was perfect timing. When he said that to me, I turned red. I was pissed off. He told me, "Honey, you're turning red. Calm down, calm down." I wanted to go down and rip that woman's head off. Perfect timing? Are you kidding me? I demanded that my husband and I close this open marriage right now. My husband looked me dead in my eyes and told me, "We can close it. That's okay. I also want a divorce. I don't want to remain married to you anymore." He got up, didn't finish his food, walked to the bedroom to take a shower, and then left to head down to that woman's house. I was beyond hurt, but I knew I brought this on myself. My husband wanted to divorce me after all these years. What do I tell my daughter? I contemplated lying to her, telling her that Dad replaced me with another woman, a younger woman. But I couldn't bring myself to do that. That very night, I called my daughter and told her everything. I cried on the phone, and she cried with me. My daughter cursed me out, asking why I would ask for such an arrangement. She also got upset, wanted this, that he must have pushed me to do this so he could be with that younger woman. I assured her that he did not want to be with her. He didn't want to be with anyone else. I pushed him into the arms of another woman. I believe my daughter started to believe me after I said that, but before that, she was sure it was her father's fault. To believe me after I said that, but before that, she was sure it was her father's fault. I got a lawyer because my husband was serious. I was served divorce papers. I signed them and did what I had to do. Our lawyers, my husband, and I all talked together, and we agreed to split everything down the middle. My husband wanted to give me the house if I wanted it, but I didn't want it. I thought we should sell it and split the money, and that's what we did. Split everything down the middle. No alimony, and, of course, no child support. My daughter isn't the happiest. Sometimes she doesn't know whether to be upset with me or her father. Sometimes she's just upset with both of us. She thinks I'm stupid for asking for the open marriage, and she thinks her father is dead wrong for not only dealing with a younger woman, but for moving on to a woman in the first place. She feels if her father dumps the girl he's with now, then he and I can rekindle our love. I'm willing to rekindle our love. I'm sorry for what I did, but he's not willing to let her go. My ex-husband is still with her today, and it hurts me whenever I see them together. I moved across town to a small condo, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and I'm doing fine. I never gained the weight back. I now stay in the gym and have time to do so because I live closer to my job. I don't have to drive as far, so it's easy for me to go to the gym before or after work. I eat healthy and try to stay in shape. My ex-husband seems like a very happy man. I don't know if he'll ever marry again. I wouldn't. I was married to the person I was supposed to spend my life with, but I ruined it. I played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. You said it. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. You described your husband like he was the best man in the world, took care of you and your daughter. You guys never needed anything. You didn't need a single thing. You cheated on this man before. He has no idea you ever cheated on him. You got pregnant by your trainer years ago. Then you have the nerve to ask for an open marriage because you feel insecure. No one's going to love me anymore because I'm going to get big again. You pushed that man into another woman's arms and got jealous. You're silly, but you said it yourself, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what you did wrong. At least you own up to it. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Comments. The consequences.